Okay. All right. Looks like the stream is running. Hi everyone. I am TigerHawkT3, and I am also tired. It's Thanksgiving today, so I had way too much food. There was so much of it, and it was so good. So yeah. And we are now in Britain. We had sweet potatoes, and stuffing, and turkey, and 2 kinds of cranberry sauce relish things, and a Brussels sprouts with raisins and like pecans or something. Dish was really good. People brought things. And oh, I don't have audio on. Hang on. Gotta hear the horrible drone of this Volvo. You can hear it louder if I do this. What if there was like graffiti on the sides of these trucks? That would be interesting. Anyway, lots of food. I think I had like 2 plates of dinner stuff and 3 plates of dessert. There was pumpkin pie and apple pie and ice cream and fruit salad. And I had all of those. Everything. Lots of it. It was very tasty. And now I'm tired. Didn't have a chance to stream this morning. So here I am doing it now. And I can... Ooh, that was a close one. I can guarantee you that I wouldn't be able to, think very, clearly about, Python stuff. So I'm just gonna, drive through Europe. It's much easier. There's no complex logic here. Just complaining about the lack of anti-aliasing that still exists. That's okay. I have to turn like right here. What's this? What's this? What's going on here? Oh, one of these things, huh? Oh no, this one's fine. It has this cross-hatched bit. That's good. Sometimes they don't give you that. What am I driving? 21 tons of chlorine. I had 20 in the description for this stream today. I misremembered. Let's actually stop. Well, not stop, but slow down. Because we were, I had the engine brake on. But we were going downhill, so we were slowly going faster. Not what you want when you gotta turn. Do you know how many tickets I have for driving in real life? 0. I once scraped someone's car while trying to get into a space in a parking lot. I didn't open the turn enough. It was kind of a wide car that I was driving. 2000 Camry, I believe. And yeah, that wasn't fun. But it wasn't even like insurance stuff. It was just like a couple $100 to buff it out or something. I don't know. It wasn't too bad. And the other, not particularly an accident, but in another parking lot at a different school, I opened the door after a class, got in the car, put my stuff down on the passenger seat, got my things together, and before I had closed the door, a gust of wind blew at the door opening it further. There was a car parked next to me. My door went straight into that car. Not like crunch leaving a dent, but like here's the other door, right, for that car. Just kinda stuck there, and I'm like, and I kinda get it back out, and there was like a smudge, silver car door from like a shiny new spotless Mercedes with a little thing of red for my car, and I'm like, that's great. Random strangers in chat. Hey, hello again. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm just driving. No Python this time. And so seeing that I had just, come from a class, I had a whole bunch of paper and pencils with me. So I wrote a little note saying, hey, stupid wind blew my car's door into your car's door. So here's how you contact me, etc. And then that car's owner wrote me a nice email saying, thank you for, letting me know and not just disappearing. That's pretty cool of you. And I'll look into it and let you know how much it is, what the situation is, etc. Random Stranger says, Happy Thanksgiving! Thank you! To you as well, and to all viewers. Happy Thanksgiving. And so this person said he would get back to me. He or she, I don't remember. Never heard from them again. And that was that. I was like, okay, if you don't want to write back with, please give me money, then, whatever. Maybe he took it to the shop and they were like, there, it's gone. Who knows? I don't. And there was the most recent one. I've been saying these chronologically. The most recent one was I went fishing at a pier somewhere, a wharf, I don't know. At night because the fish are biting like just before dawn and after dusk. That's when you get fish. And the way I like to tell the story, I went fishing and I caught a deer on the highway with the car. Nearly totaled the car, maybe another $500 worth of damage, and it would have been more than half of the value of the car to repair. And when that happens, it is called a total loss, meaning totaled, and then you throw away the car and get a new one. So almost totaled. It was like a particularly large and stupid shark had taken a bite out of the hood and the engine, just kind of chomp. Nice little circular bite mark. Deer that barely came up to the headlights. I remember it was in the headlights and crunch. It wasn't like from a distance I could see it getting closer and it went whoop. Nope. It was just like boop crunch. I was just walking across the highway. Random Stranger says poof gone. That's right. That's what happens to deer when you hit them doing, highway speeds. Whether 60, 70, 75. I was going probably somewhere around 70, 75. It's the normal speed for that highway. And, goodbye deer. Almost goodbye car. One of our friends on that fishing trip who had gone with us was really wanting to get home soon because they had a bit of a migraine. Not a good time for a migraine. And then we needed a tow truck, and being, out fishing kind of far from stuff in the middle of nowhere between cities, My trusty old AAA membership would have been incredibly expensive because they only cover like 3 or 5 miles of a tow, and the rest is some ungodly amount per mile. And guardrail, hello. And so, fortunately, another friend, the one who had instigated this little trip, had like the fancier AAA membership. So instead of paying an extra $200 or $300 for a tow back to civilization, it was at no cost. So we used his membership. And I can tell you it is not fun sitting with a tow truck driver and 3 people in the cab of a tow truck, which is approximately this size. It doesn't work very well. Sort of, kind of sat sideways. Kind of fit. And Parth Sharma is in chat. Hey, how are you doing? I'm alright. I am tired and full from Thanksgiving. I ate too much, but it was real good. Lots of people brought wonderful food, and it was very excellent. But I'm lamenting on how hard it is to drive in this game compared to real life, where I had one tiny parking mishap, another even tinier parking mishap, and hitting a deer. Friend with migraine had a migraine that was not helped by the stress of hitting a deer at night instead of just going home. Had to stop part way home to vomit by the side of the road. Migraines are serious business. So, let that be a lesson to you. If you have a migraine, don't hit a deer. It's very... You can learn from that, right? That's a thing. No. Nothing much to do about that. Level 33. A meaningless point. Hooray! Like, look at this. I get a 5% of the initial. Each one is the same static increase. Like if it was a raise at a job, it's not like you get a 3% raise and the next year you get a 3% raise. No, it's if you make $10 an hour, you get a... Is that really 30%? 30 cents, I mean? 3% raise, yeah, that's tiny. You get a 30-cent raise, and then the next year you get a 30-cent raise, and the next year you get a 30-cent raise. That's making less and less difference as time goes by. But what else you gonna do? That's the game. That's what it is. Now let's see if there are any... Am I fatigued at all? Not really, no. Let's drive around Manchester. With the wheels up. Thank you. The wheels up. Gonna drive real fast and I'm gonna turn left. Actually, let's see what there is over here. Anything good? 62. For real? Let me check the other things. For real? Oh, those are pretty good. That would be cool. Actually, let's see. Freight market. Short. Tiny, 12 kilometers. Frankfurt to Liverpool. Manchester line, that's pretty good. Expires in 2 hours. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Cambridge. Back backwards truck. Parallel universe. And I bet I'm late. Our customer expects delivery very soon. Make sure I arrive on time. Ah! This truck has no power. Let's go. Fortunately, it's right over here. That's pretty close. Alright. Not actually very much room here. Let's see if we can turn this thing around and kind of manage it. What is this thing? Okay. It's gonna be the most time-consuming part. Technically, I don't have to, but otherwise I get no experience. Alright, that should work. Perfect. Perfect. Random stranger says in chat, if you have a migraine, don't hit the deer. That is my practical life advice for you. TigerHawk T3's advice video channel. If you have a migraine, don't hit a deer. Because usually when you don't have a migraine, hitting a deer is the first thing you want to do. Right? Let's do one more quick job in Klagenfurt. How worth is he? Am I going to be late again? My current job is ketchup. What's your job, ketchup? Ketchup is my job. An FH16. This truck is my jam. It's a good truck. Very strong. Did you know that some people, when referring to the game company Valve, which makes Steam, Team Fortress 2, Dota, etc., they sometimes jokingly refer to Valve as Volvo. Like, come on, Volvo. You nerf this and buff that other thing, come on. Or, you know, give Diretide, the new hero for Dota 2 a while ago. People were going on Volvo's Facebook page asking for Diretide. Actual Volvo, not Valve. Volvo was very confused. And then they figured out what the heck was going on. And they're like, yeah, Valve, give Diretide. Because why not? One more. Let's start that thingy. That's still here, right? Let's see what we've got. Freight Market, Frankfurt, Liverpool, Manchester Line. That's actually really quite good. So I gotta drive. Gotta fix these things. Alright. Backwards? Forwards? How was the information display on, but the engine was not on? I don't understand that. Give me a job. Give me money. This is the sort of time when I wish I had multiple reverse gears. This is as fast as I can go, 13 kph. Turn on the flashy lights. Random Stranger says, by the way, how did you learn Python or other languages? School? Yes. I took a Python class at a junior college. I also took, at another junior college, First, I learned some C++ at a computer camp when I was little. I don't know if that really counts, but it was more of a introduction to like computer language things. What I most remember about that, what I remember about the programming part, was using cin and cout and import iostream.h. That's literally all I remember about C++. And on the non-study times, we would all play Unreal Tournament on a LAN. And I would stand on the edge or a top of a tower on Facing Worlds and snipe people. And when they would be like, "Who is this guy?" from across the room, I would be like, that's the best. Dealing doom. Anyway, C++. I took a class in C several years later at a junior college. That was hard. I don't think I was really ready for it. But I passed it fine. HTML, Unix. I actually did really well in my Unix class. Like, actually got everything. Got an A, etc. And then I've forgotten most of it because I never used it. I don't have a Unix machine. And then years later, Java, which I initially enjoyed because it was very, I don't want to say rigid, very structured. JavaScript, which I most definitely did not enjoy because it was not very structured. Any language with a strict mode, you gotta narrow your eyes at it. Strict mode, you say? Strict mode means when we were doing this with the language, putting things in there, we made some decisions that weren't really very good, and just live with them. Maybe you want to turn on like warnings if these things are there, and have a little option to, yeah. It's okay to make mistakes when you do things. Python 1 and 2 had many oddities. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but then there's Python 3, which is not compatible with the older versions, saying this is a better way to do it. And we can't really hold on to the old ways any longer, because it's things that actually make a difference, like print being a statement versus a function, etc. And it just, we can't have both in the same. It just doesn't make sense. So it's going to be incompatible. So there you go. But yeah, JavaScript is just icky. That's the technical term for a language you don't like, icky. And I also took a class in Python, which at first also seemed icky, with like dynamic typing, like what in the world? But by the end of the class, I was really enjoying it. Oh, and the no curly braces and indentation, that's weird. But by the end of the class, I realized if I want to write this program I have in mind in Java, it'll be gigantic. Whereas if I write it in Python, it'll be done. And my second quarter final group class project for Java, like we had the last month of the class to work on this thing in groups, and it was some GUI thing, horrendous, with swing. Funny story, Java has the AWT, the Abstract Windowing Toolkit. It's a graphics toolkit for Java, and it also has swing. Why are there two basic built-in GUI things for Java? Because AWT, the first one, was just really bad. So they had to make another one. It was unsalvageable. It's like, well, I guess we'll make another one. So that's what they did. I don't remember how much stuff we had. There was a lot. Many pages and screens and files of GUI stuff in our class project. I didn't write the GUI part, because we initially had the choice of you can have it be a console program or a graphics program, which I'm not going to teach you because I don't know it. Here's a little GUI sample program that I found on the internet, and I can't get it to run. It has a bug somewhere. I don't know how to fix it because I don't know Swing at all. Have fun, kids. And I was like, aren't you supposed to know this? Teacher wasn't really prepared to teach that class. But anyway, so we got that done. Oh, regarding the choice. Initially I said, since we don't know how to do graphic stuff with Swing, how about we don't? Because we have to, like, do the rest of the project, and I think learning something that we should have been learning during the class, we don't have time for that. And then the teacher said, by the way, you do have to have a GUI. I don't know how she planned on grading it, if she didn't understand any of it. But, someone else in the group was like, yeah, I'll do that. Or I think I wanted to do I wanted to do a simple console program, and he wanted to do a graphical thing. I'm like, okay, you can be in charge of that. Have fun. And he did it, and it worked. I think there was a lot of junk in it. I mean, that's what inexperienced people do. That's what happens. But it worked, and that was our final project for the quarter. The next year or so, I thought, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write that in Python. I'm gonna look up that old project, look up the project files, and see if I can run it, see what it does. I actually found a video of the sample run that we did, so I could see all the things that we had it doing. And so I saw what it did, and I'm like, okay, has this little menu, does that, and couple hours in Python. That was it. It was done. It was a media library. You can add an entry of a book, video game, movie, or music, and then there's a search and that sort of thing. It was very, very basic. So yeah, it took a couple hours in Python, but was a quarter project in Java. And every time I think, maybe I'll write this in Java instead, it ends up being, okay, I would start with public static void main string args, and then I don't want to write it in Java anymore. Because I have better things to do than write a whole bunch of junk. I'm gonna write an interface. How about no? I'm gonna implement comparable and stuff. How about no? I'm gonna have semicolons everywhere. There are some things in Python that I think could be cleaned up, and some things that I think could be uncleaned up. One thing that I miss from C-style languages is the inline increment. The old, I++ or plus I doesn't exist in Python. You can do I plus equals 1, which you can also do in other languages, but that is an augmented assignment and not actually mutating the value of that, integer or whatever. I guess you could do it with a float too, but it's not actually mutating that object, it's reassigning it. Actually, it depends, because the plus operator isn't only used for numbers. You've got something that sometimes trips people up is using augmented assignment for lists. If you have mylist1 equals mylist1 plus mylist2, something different happens compared to mylist1 dot extend mylist2. Sorry, mylist1 plus equals mylist2. The latter does mylist dot extend internally mylist2. So you end up with maintaining the same reference. Whereas mylist1 equals mylist1 plus mylist2, in that you get mylist1 plus mylist2, concatenate them together, and then assign that to a new object that you have created. Versus using the augmented assignment, mylist1 plus equal mylist2, you maintain the same object. And that trips people up sometimes. I hope I don't flip the rig. But, yeah, I miss that. And one thing I don't really see why we need is colons to denote new blocks, like for while loops, for loops, if statements, functions, classes, because all those things have should be able to tell that it's one of those. I guess they're still useful if you have you do need a colon if you want to put the body of your if statement or whatever on the same line. But you also need a semicolon to separate statements that you have on the same line. Like you can do x equals 1, semicolon, y equals 2 on one physical line. That's fine. Sort of. It's not very pretty. But you can do that, and for that you need a semicolon. But if you have them on separate lines, you don't need the semicolon. Python knows they are different logical lines. I don't understand why we need the colon if we're going to put things on different physical lines. Should, I don't see why we need them. Parth Sharma asks, so what do you do now, job? I have right now 2 jobs, but neither is a full-time day job. I'm an editor for a local synagogue that has a monthly newsletter. So every month I get a whole bunch of articles and pictures and stuff, and I lay it out all nice and neat in Adobe InDesign, which is actually a very nice program from Adobe. FrameMaker is bad. I hated using FrameMaker in the day job I used to have. But InDesign is real nice. FrameMaker had like a fake GUI. InDesign has a real one. In FrameMaker, if you wanted to change the width of a table, for example, you would have to select the table and then like right-click something or whatever, and then you would get a little dialog box that tells you what the width of the table is, and then you would have to go in and go into one of the little text box widgets that has the width of 1.38 inches and increase it, and then hit OK, and then you would see the new width of the table. And if you didn't like it, you had to go back into the dialog and change it again. It was so awful. It was fake. It was a fake interface. I hated that. I should be able to just, if it's graphical, let me just have the table, drag it, and expand it, and maybe snap to the edge of the page. That's what you want to do 99% of the time, and maybe have a little option to turn off the snap, and there you go. That's what InDesign does. InDesign, if I want to, I can be in a teleconference with my boss, asking what it should look like, and we'll be planning, and as we're talking about it, I'm doing it. Like we'll be discussing something, okay, it should look like this, alright, and we spend a few minutes thinking about it, and then, okay, so you want to do that and then give me a call when you're done? Oh, I've been doing it as we're talking, it's already done. That's InDesign, it's a good program. So I am an editor and I tutor computer stuff. I currently have 1 student, and I'm basically his IT person. Whenever he's one of the many people who accidentally upgraded to Windows 10. I heard many horror stories of people, doing regular Windows updates, and surprise, one of the updates was your OS is different now. I took many measures to avoid that, and I successfully avoided Windows 10, which is a technically superior operating system, but is shackled by management decisions. Like, we're gonna disable this option and that option. Recently, I have a machine with Windows 10, and one day I looked away from it for 2 minutes, and I looked back, and it was installing updates, and I couldn't use it for 2 hours. For 2 hours, the machine was unusable because I looked away for a couple minutes. I kid you not. I was using Python 3.5 on that because I have 3.4 on my main computer, so I was using that for differences with the syntax, etc. I looked away to type something on this computer, and I looked to the main PC, and it was restarting for 2 hours. 2 hours. Can you imagine if it was like, if I was at an airport waiting for my flight, and I had looked up to chat with someone for a couple minutes, and then looked back to my computer, and I can't turn it off for another 2 hours, and my flight is in 20 minutes? What do you do? Stewardess says, the flight attendant says, "Sir, can you turn off your computer, please? Because we're gonna," and you, "Nope." Can you, see, look, my computer is installing updates. I cannot interfere with its mystical doings. That's nonsense, and it should not do that. It's awful. So there's an option to, instead of installing the updates immediately for 2 hours, to just notify you and say there's things. So let me, the computer, know when I can do that, and then I will. Thanks. Of course, if you shut down the computer, it will install any updates that it has, stored up, which again is a problem if you are, for example, at an airport and you shut down your computer and it doesn't turn off because it's installing updates for possibly 2 hours. Awful. Awful. How did they think that was okay? Fortunately, I changed the power button to hibernate, which completely powers down the computer, but doesn't shut it down. It just dumps all of the RAM into somewhere on the hard drive, and then when you turn it on, it restores your session, and then you can shut down later to install updates. So my dad was saying my computer, which also has Windows 10, installs updates unexpectedly, and then restarts when I'm in the middle of something. I'm like, huh, why don't you just set that option? And he's like, I don't know about that. So I went to his laptop. Long story short, it didn't have the option. Because that option was removed in an update, possibly the infamous Windows 10 anniversary update. It was removed. They removed that option. It was a little drop-down box. Wasn't hurting anyone. Now, Skeeter, he ain't hurting nobody. We don't take kindly to options around here. Now, Skeeter, that option ain't hurting nobody. Now, I'd like to know where you get off giving users control over their machines. That's basically what it was. Random Stranger says, same story, same. Windows 10 update sucks. Yes, it does. The way they implemented that is awful. Awful. It's shameful. I'm afraid that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I won't be able to use Windows anymore. Because they'll have decided that we would rather inconvenience everyone so that the archetypal Aunt Tilly doesn't have viruses when she goes to a site that looks fine and just clicks on everything. Aunt Tilly is a sort of style of user. Someone's aunt who doesn't really use computers and just wants to get things done. And she's not going to know that she has to edit the config file to add the network printer to some server or whatever. This is part of Eric S. Raymond's Cups horror story. He wanted to print on a network computer with Linux. It was a pain. Make a long story short. You should read that. It's very entertaining. Sometimes he talks about his experience compared to an Aunt Tilly who would be trying to do it. And he eventually succeeded, but only because he really knows what he's doing with Linux and has used it a lot. Anyone else would have been lost. Well, not anyone else, but ordinary people who don't spend all day doing computer stuff would be lost. But there should be a system for people who do use their computer all day and yet also want to get things done. That used to be Windows. But now they're like, no. We are tired of people getting viruses on our machines, so we will just make them locked up. If you can't turn it on, they should just take out the power button from Windows computers and Mac computers. Well, it's not going to get any viruses now. It's safe. This is the antivirus. I think people who write viruses are doing their own hobby a disservice. Because, they're going to end up with a whole bunch of computers that do nothing but guard themselves. Random Stranger says, then I set Wi-Fi as a metered connection. That is another strategy I'd heard of. For my dad's computer, what I ended up doing was someone on the internet had a computer that waked itself from sleep to do scheduled tasks. And it was, if I have told my computer to be in sleep mode, it should do that. And yes, it should. It's really dumb when you put your computer sleep mode, and then you go to sleep or something, and then 10 minutes later, starts the whole thing back up. It's awful. Awful. It should never do that. It should do what you tell it to do when you tell it to do it. It's a computer. So what I did was I went and disabled the scheduled reboot task, and then apparently the person who explained this process said Windows will re-enable this task whenever it feels like, so that it can do what it wants to do. And it's like, if you tell it not to reboot, it will change your decision. It will just go in there and change your setting to enabled. It's like, no, this has to be enabled. So the solution is change the permission on that reboot file. There's a file called reboot with no extension that just handles the reboot scheduled task. And you change the permission. You remove the right permission for the system. And then, here's the technical term this article used. Windows will no longer be able to molest your settings. A terrifying world we are in now. So this tutoring student that I have upgraded Windows accidentally. I changed these, right? Yeah, okay. Upgraded Windows accidentally, so I was helping him with Windows 10 stuff, and I only had a couple weeks of experience on my Windows machine, the mini PC, but I'm like, I can figure things out, and I could. And then it turned into, anytime he had a computer tech support issue, something, it's me. So, Brother Sharma says in chat, what's your opinion on a Mac? I don't remember if I saw this in a comic or a TV show or something. And I don't think it was about Macs, but it was, someone was at a computer store shopping for computers, and the salesman was trying to push one of the really easy to use, user-friendly, etc. And this is the quote I remember that perfectly describes Mac. It only has one button, and we press it before it leaves the factory. That's Mac. You will do what they want you to do in the manner they want you to do it in. Anything else, and you're in for a world of pain. Maybe you can do other things, maybe. Like setting up email or something. Things that actually involve, weird settings and addresses and numbers, etc. It's there, but it's just as much of a hassle or more for Mac users, because it's all hidden behind pretty little things, pretty little windows and interfaces and a design, but you still need to get out those numbers. Eventually it's going to look ugly, so you eventually manage to get to the ugly part, and then you input those numbers. And you might have the same problems everyone else does, because it's actually not any easier. They just hid it behind a bunch of nice OpenGL windows. That's just how it is, especially with, do you know what the most popular, meaning on the most devices, the biggest device share, I think it's called, most popular OS is these days? It might not be what you think it is. Wow, I've been complaining about things for 46 minutes. So what do you think the most popular OS is by number of devices? The answer shocked me when I saw it a few weeks ago. I'm like, what? But it will, it's about growing markets and stagnant markets. The most popular OS by device is Android. You were thinking Windows, maybe? No. Nope. Android. By a gigantic, vast, ridiculous margin. And then, Windows, and then the other stuff. And Android is primarily a touch interface. And Apple pretty much doesn't care anymore about anything that isn't an iPhone. They don't care about their workstation computers. They have their latest Mac Pro, whatever, looks like a trash can and performs like a trash can and is incredibly expensive, and that they don't really do anything with, like an upgrade every few years. Double the price of competitors' products. And what else do they even do? iPod? Do they even make iPods anymore? I really have no idea. Pretty sure they don't advertise for them. Do they advertise for the iPhone? I don't think they need to. Everyone knows. But yeah, iPhone. They're the iPhone company these days, and iTunes. So, and iOS is a touch interface as well. So, I think that's very sad, because the touch interface sucks. It sucks. The hardware is great. I remember ye old days with like Palm Pilots, and you had like pressure sensitive screens, so you had to like poke at them. Now it's the slightest touch, or even like almost touching a fraction of a millimeter away, and it detects. It's really good hardware. But the interface sucks because there's no right click. You can't say, I want to interact with this section of the screen in this manner or that manner. You can't say, I want to interact with it in a regular way, a left click, or I want to do some advanced things, so I'm going to right click. There's no such thing. You can hold it down and maybe that's some more stuff, but they don't expect you to do that. That's not a normal touchscreen thing to do. I'm going to stop at this toll road and get gas. And the other problem with touchscreens is that the human finger is not an accurate... Can I do it here too? Yeah. The human finger is not a very precise pointing device. A mouse cursor is. You can select the exact pixel you want to interact with, which sometimes I want to do. Even if I'm just writing a text message or something and I want to edit a previous part of it, you know, you just touch where you want the cursor to go. I can never get it to go in the right place. With a mouse I could, with a keyboard I could, really fast. But with touch interface, it's always put it a little to the right, some amount of where you actually want it to be, and then backspace a whole bunch and rewrite that whole part. That's just how it is. I didn't get gas. Barstroma says, Random Stranger says, Android? Yay. If you guessed Android, you were right. Parth Sharma says, and guess what Apple released? A book, literally a book, with just pictures, etc., worth $300. No, they didn't. They didn't release a book worth $300. They released a book for $300. Oh, 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 oh. Burn. Apple needs some ice for that sick burn. But yeah, they released a book. They have a $200 edition. That's the small one. And they have a larger model for $300. And yes, we do mean a book. Printed on acid-free, organic, free-range paper, blah blah blah. They're headquartered here in Cupertino, and is very new age, free thinker, etc., whatever. A book on paper made of trees. This is the same company that ditched floppy drives while you needed one for everything. It was the USB flash drive of the day was floppy drives, and their computers no longer came with them. You had to buy a USB one for $40 freaking dollars. And the company that dropped flash support from their mobile devices, while everything used flash, there was none of this HTML5 video fancy nonsense. Didn't have that. If you wanted rich media, it was flash. It sucked, and still does. There's like no acceleration. It's all CPU bound, and it's awful. It's an amazing resource hog. But it worked. It was a thing. And they dropped support for that. And now the iPhone 7. They no longer think it's necessary to include a headphone jack. Headset, really. Headset or headphone, it's the same jack. You can see my video about various shenanigans with those. But, and doing these things takes, and I quote, courage. Courage. It takes courage. The headphone jack has been a thing for like 100 years. We can't have that. So now we're gonna release a book on paper. Why? I like to hear the thunder. Anyway, you would think that they would release an ebook, maybe? But no. Paper. And it's $300. Do you know how much cash they're gonna make? A ton of cash, and they're not gonna buy anything with it. It's just gonna be removed from the economy. Thanks, Apple. Because people will buy it. It's like Nintendo. Well, I was gonna say they'll buy the NES Classic just to put on their coffee table, just like this book, but no, they're not gonna buy the NES Classic to put on their coffee table because they can't get one. As far as I can tell, every single one was acquired either by big-name YouTubers to look cool with it and review it and say how awesome it is, even though you can only play a certain number of games, and it's really just an emulator. It's not for you. If you're watching this video, you're too, too much of an expert. And 2.5-foot controller cables. They had to miniaturize that part too. And scalpers. Big YouTubers and scalpers. Those are the only people who got these things. They are not sitting on a coffee table. They're not going to be played. Because the scalpers just want to resell them for like anywhere from $100 to several $1,000s a piece. Yes, some people are listing these for thousands. The MSRP is $60. And the big YouTubers aren't going to be playing them either, because they have actual Nintendo Entertainment Systems, the original, with the actual cartridge, or they have an emulator, or they have any of a dozen emulator-like, or even SoC, system on chip things, basically replicas of the hardware, maybe with an FPGA, etc. I used to be in that industry. But they're not, it's a product that doesn't have a market. Who's gonna buy these? Anyone who actually wanted to play NES games was already doing that. These games have been out for 30 years. People have had 30 years to decide they want to play them. They're not going to start now. And if they do, they're not going to want to pay $60 or more. They can't pay $60 because there aren't any at that price. Hundreds of dollars for 30-year-old games. That the best case scenario is, hey, I have that What's It, it's pretty cute. Remember we used to play NES? Here's those games again. So you play for like 10 minutes and you're like, I remember what they meant by Nintendo Hard. They meant that you can't actually beat these games, generally, reasonably speaking. I'm getting gas. Lights, engine, parking brake. I should probably stop to sleep. Like, in-game. So yeah. I think I may have lost at least one of the threads of discussion that I was talking about. Windows 10 something? Oh yes. What do I do for work? Wow, it is very rainy. So I'm basically this guy's IT person when he wants to do stuff on his iPhone. Hey, I got an email from my bank saying they have an app that lets you deactivate your credit card from your phone. Could be handy, because sometimes we misplace our credit card. Would be good to be able to do that. Thing about that is you want to be able to keep an eye on your phone, because someone could, if you lose your phone instead of your credit card, someone can go through your apps and deactivate your credit card and make a whole bunch of mayhem, etc. And now it's not raining. Or one day he said, I have a tablet and I would like to print from it. The tablet is a Surface 2. Not a Surface Pro 3. A Surface 2. It's an ARM device running Windows RT. It's not Windows. When someone says the Windows ecosystem, they don't mean Windows RT. It's an ARM device. It doesn't run anything that regular Windows runs. And the printer's a network printer. All-in-one fax, scanner, printer, whatever. Couldn't do it. company didn't have any drivers. They said if your printer is one of these on this list, then maybe some limited functionality. Maybe. But if it's not, don't even try plugging it in, because it won't do anything. So I'm like, this printer does not work with this tablet. You can't print. Sorry. Email it to another computer. It's like, okay, I guess that'll be that. But like, literally impossible. And iPhones, I'm not really too sure about, but I can generally poke around and figure things out. I recently, since he doesn't really like the Surface 2, he said he's thinking of, or he had said he was thinking of getting another tablet to actually use for email and stuff. Said we used an iPad at one point and it was great. Everything was big, easy to see and use, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, you can do that. Or I mean, I have a Kindle that I can show you if you want. They're a good deal cheaper. I got my Kindle for $35. $35, 8 gigs of storage. Nice 7-inch screen. $35. That's why I bought it, because I was thinking, how can I be getting this for $35? It has a sponsored lock screen. Without that, it would have been $50. But I'm just amazed at how good the hardware is for the money these days. How much you can get for so little. My phone was $40. There's some stuff that it has that I don't like. I recently had to uninstall all the updates for several built-in apps that I don't use, because they take up space and I don't use them, and I can't afford that storage space. If I don't, it goes up to like 3.5 gigs used out of 4 point something gig. That's not reserved for the system or anything, because it's an 8 gig phone, so I have to not update apps. I mean, there were dozens of included apps, bloatware. I got the only phone that cannot be rooted. It is unrootable. Should I stop here? Or later? This one, is there more? Over there. Is that 2 hours later? I can do that one. Let's put a little mark over there. So, that's what I do there. I used to have an internship from 2014 to 15 with a big tech company. Interviewed, and they said, you seem very nice, but we're not sure that you have enough experience, really. I had several years of experience, cumulative. Not like worked for 3 years at this company and 4 years at the other company, like some here and there, internships and etc. Part-time stuff, but you know, I can do it. They said you just don't really have enough experience, so you're gonna be an intern is what we can do for 6 months. Usually interns there are like over the summer, couple months, but 6-month internship, and after that we will see whether you are a good fit and hired, etc. And if you are, then we'll bring you on full time. I'm like, great. Random stranger asks, by the way, do you watch YouTube? If yes, then what type? Else pass. The else pass is not necessary because that's the empty statement. I know you were trying to do Python stuff. That's how I would. I mean, I had to say that else pass is not necessary in Python, but if you hadn't said it, then wouldn't have really been recognizable as a Python thing. So it's all right. It's all good. There's the yawning. I watch Pat the NES Punk, who was one of the YouTubers to get an NES Classic, and loves it and thinks it's great, and says, but it's not for you if you're about to tell me in the comments, but you could just have an NES or use an emulator or etc. and so forth. It's not for you. It's not for any of the people watching this podcast. The people watching that podcast are the only people who could possibly be interested in playing these games. everyone who isn't watching the podcast isn't remotely interested in playing NES stuff and hasn't been in the past 30 years, why would they want this? They could spend $60 on a AAA game that they'll actually play. Or, literally a dozen Humble Bundles. And get games for the same price that are modern and actually really good. Like, for example, Expand, that I played recently. It was a good game. But I watched Pat the NES Punk. It's pretty fun. He doesn't really do a lot of NES Punk videos anymore. It's just podcasts and Let's Plays. I do not like the Let's Plays. They have less production effort than my live streams. And his Let's Plays are not live. They're pre-recorded. But it's just the ones that I watched a couple when he first started to do them. But he just has the video feed from the game. That's it. On like a background. Because they're 4:3 instead of widescreen. There's no feed of like a camera on him and his buddy Ian at any point. I just... Why? I mean, you can just watch The Angry Video Game Nerd and all of his videos on his channel. That's another channel I watch, by the way. Cool people. James Rolfe and Mike Matei. They're like my buddies who don't know I exist. That sounded really weird, but same for, Star Trek shows and etc. My friends, Spock and McCoy and the EMH, that sort of thing. But, Mike Matei is a very good video editor. He'll have footage of just the game when there's something important. Sometimes he zooms in on an interesting thing, like, I could have sworn I got that ledge, and he'll, like, zoom in on, yes, he got that ledge, but fell through anyway, things like that. And, sometimes he shows the game and a feed of him and whoever's with him playing. Sometimes only him and his friend. And I don't know why the NES Punk's Let's Plays are so Spartan. It's like literally just the video feed the entire time. I don't understand the point. But I watch those. Recently I've started watching Review Tech USA. It's he does like tech reviews and talks about stuff during Let's Plays. He's pretty funny, but I get the sense that his humor has a rule book, and I'm not saying that as something bad, because it's funny, but it's the same kind of humor. Like, if you watch a couple of his videos, you will laugh a lot, and then you will watch some more, and you'll see that it's like the same style of jokes, and it's like, I've seen that. Like, sometimes, if he wants to mock a particular thing, another toll, really? He'll replay something he just said, dramatically slowed down, and like he does that a lot, and I still watch because he's still a cool guy. He has a big following of people who make inside jokes and stuff. It's fun. And then random miscellaneous stuff. Parashrama asks, well then, why don't you make short tutorial videos on YouTube for beginners? Beginners in what? I'm not sure. You will have to clarify that. As 7 says on Voyager, specify. Or the computer. The Borg are the computer character. Like Data or Spock. That sort of thing. Specify. So I used to have a job. We'll hire you in 6 months if you're a good fit. And I was a good fit. And they're like, this is great. And then 5 months after I started, they bought a company. Since they wanted to have some ready cash instead of just spending all their money, they also took out a loan. And when you're technically a few $100 million in the hole, the last thing you want to do is start adding people to payroll who need things like bonuses and benefits and vacation time, things which I did not get as an intern. So my manager said, let's extend your internship by another 6 months. And the maximum internship time is 1 year, so we will need to have some sort of answer for you by then. Like, that's what it is, and then we'll know. So, okay, I didn't get any additional vacation time because the way it works is you accrue 1 day of vacation time per month, but they are all awarded at the start of the internship. And there's a cap of 3 days. So a 1 month internship, you get 1 day vacation, 2 months, 2 days, 3 months, 3 days, anything more than 3 months, still 3 days. And I didn't get a second 6-month internship, I got an extension of the one I had. So I was there for a year, and I got no benefits, no bonuses, and 3 days of vacation. And then after I'd been there for a year, they said, can you stay here for another 3 months as an intern, and we just won't really talk very loudly about it, but while we, walk by the legal department? How about that? And then I realized that they were not going to hire me. And I said, well, if the internship period is over, then it's over. I'm not going to make that, am I? No. These things, I tell ya. Okay. Let's see if that works. I don't know. Don't want to ding my mirrors. Seriously? Will that... Please? Please, can I get in? Please? Thank you. Parasharma says, Python, C, etc., etc. There are a lot of tutorial Python intro series on YouTube. I'm not sure that a fresh one would be relevant. So what I do are Let's Code, and there aren't a lot of Let's Code. It's I have, a program I have written, and I'm going to spit it out at you on a video. That is not what I do. I did that once because I had finished coding something. This isn't gonna work, is it? I had finished coding something and I was like, oh, I think that was the matrix rotations or something. So I just wanted to do it. And I'm like, oh, I finished. Awesome. But I went through it pretty carefully. But I do the Let's Codes. And so you can see the actual coding process rather than just explaining here's an integer, see how we can do things with it and print hello. I would love to do that for like a class in a classroom. That would be a cool thing to do. Random Stranger says that's not so good on their behalf. Yes, for this internship that they said not enough experience, maybe later, etc. And like before the 6-month mark, significantly before, my manager had started a thing that like we should all cross-train and be comfortable, like we should train each other to do each other's tasks, just in case someone goes on vacation, you need that, memo for the Smith file, etc. And then you can go in there and get it and do it, not actual tasks that we have to do, but you get the idea. Should be able to fill in for someone. After the acquisition and the layoffs, etc., I realized he knew all this time, this whole train each other to be proficient in each other's tasks. That was so when he laid off half the company, the other half of the company would be able to do the other half's job. And yes, not so good. Our department had 3 people in it, 2 regular employees plus me, the intern, and as far as I know right now, it's 1 person, because I was not hired, and one of the full-time employees was he was urged to retire. We had a retirement party with a cake and everything. And people saying, it's so sad to see you go, but like, are you gonna miss us? No. That's a verbatim quote, by the way, from a retirement party that the guy didn't want. And saying, let's call him Bob. And let's call me, Director 3. So Bob, you're so, amazing, the standard, we love you and you're awesome. Nobody can do what you do. You designed this system and you know how it works, and no one can do what you do. Except for Tigerhawk T3. He will be the new Bob. This is a verbatim quote, except for the names. People said this while Bob and I were there, sitting near each other at the table. Do you know how awkward it is to be at a retirement party that's a euphemism for a layoff party and being pointed out as the replacement for the retiree after the retiree has just been told that they're irreplaceable, but no, they're not, because this guy's replacing you? It's really awkward. And then I ended up with no job. They laid off everyone, pretty much. They had one big round of layoffs, because it's never any fun to think who's gonna be in the next one, right? That's awful. They had more rounds of layoffs, and more and more. And people also just straight up quitting because screw this place, we're not getting any work done. We would have customers saying, hey, this product doesn't have a manual. Can we have a manual? That's what I was doing in the technical writing. And then we would get back to them saying, no, because we didn't have anyone to write it. And by write it, I mean provide the source material. This was very dense technical stuff that a technical writer can rewrite and make clear and lay out neatly and organize, but you need what's called an SME, subject matter expert. If you open your car's glove compartment, you will doubtless find the manual for your car. That manual was written by a technical writer and probably, a graphic designer, etc. And there was also someone involved in that who knew a lot about the car. Many someones, of course. So they didn't find necessarily a writer who knows everything about the Toyota Corolla 2016. It's very specific. So they get the person who knows about the Toyota Corolla 2016, who designed it, hopefully, and they have this person tell a writer all about the stuff, and the writer says, okay, I can clean that up and make it easier to use, blah, blah, blah. People in chat, CHAI, with a space in the middle, says, hello, can you play with, presumably, can I play with you? This is, local mode, so not really anyone to play with, and I also turned off traffic, so there's really no one in this mechanistic, what's the word I'm looking for? Opposite of... I'm very tired. I cannot think of the word right now. My goodness. Sparse? Empty? This empty world? That's close enough. You get my meaning. I was looking for something more terrifying, but that'll do. Barren. That's the word I was looking for. This mechanistic, barren hellscape of, beautiful Europe, actually. But it's, there's no one there, and there's pedestrians that walk along, and you say, oh, a pedestrian, and then they disappear into nothingness. Random stranger asks, any specific project or program that you're really proud of? Some of the very short ones that we've written on stream that fit in one screen of editor. I like those. Very specific programs that do one thing and do it well with no extra fluff. The mastermind programs, I wrote the console one in 20-25 minutes and then said, I'm done, I guess I could add a feature, and then just wrote in the new feature and it hardly had any bugs. Just like a couple of silly oversights to fix, which is pretty cool. Also the graphical masterminds. First, the vertical one that didn't really fit in the screen, but didn't really have any bugs either. Probably had a couple. I think there was one syntax error, an off by one error or something, or a logic error. Really tiny things to fix. And the design error, which should be on its side, so it fits nicely in a regular screen. What else? Let's see. Anything else good? Someone in chat with a name in Cyrillic, which unfortunately I cannot read, that ends in the Roman characters DRS, says something with an exclamation mark. Let me... Google Translate exists for a reason. Oh. It is a Russian insult. So, yes, quite. Okay. Not a specifically Russian insult, but just generic profanity. That's fine. But it wasn't Sigabliat, which is the standard insult in Russian. It's it's a meme. It's a thing. But is there one more? Let me think. Chess, maybe. I wrote a chess program. It's kind of big. I mostly wrote it to show that I could do various features, like it has sound effects, when chess doesn't really need sound effects, just to show that I could put sound into the program. You can set the board to, instead of be like checkered squares, a checkerboard sort of thing, to be an animated GIF, and that would demonstrate that I could do that, and there it is. Not that you would want a movie playing in the background of your chess game. No, that would be terrifyingly distracting. But it shows that I can do it, so I put it in there. Actually, I'm also kind of pleased with, if you've heard of an iOS game called Blek, B-L-E-K. It's a little puzzle game where you draw a shape, and then when you finish drawing the shape, it draws it again on its own repeatedly. So you draw, like this, and then it goes like this again and again on its own until it gets to the, edge of the screen. On the sides, it bounces back, and on the top and bottom, it just kind of leaves. And so there's little targets that you have to hit, and obstacles that if you hit, you have to try again, and that sort of thing. So you have to draw a shape, and then have it draw itself over and over again, and hit all the targets. It's like $3 or something, or $1, I don't know, very cheap, on iOS in the App Store. I saw it for a few minutes. A friend showed it to me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that. That's neat. And then instead of purchasing it, I went home and spent the next week, all day, every day, implementing it in Python with tkinter, which is not really something you're supposed to do with tkinter. It's like it's more for like windows and text boxes and that sort of thing. But technically, you can sort of do it. It still has a little bug where if your little shape runs into there's a certain element that can, when you hit it, it launches like an arrow that can hit other things. And these arrows can like revolve around a center point, and then you hit it and it continues in whatever direction it was pointing. Sometimes those arrows, instead of just moving, they move and get like longer. Still haven't figured out why. I was sure I like nailed down all the problems with that stuff. Sometimes when you die over and over again, when there's one of those spinner things on the board, they spin faster and faster. I could have sworn I after canceled all those calls. Sometimes it does that, I don't know. But it's pretty darn close, and I even made a little level editor, which is pretty cool. So you can just like, instead of going and creating a Python dictionary structure of the pixel dimensions of all the things you want to make, you just like click and drag, and then you select a different shape, and you click and drag that, and that's it. And then you can like dump it to a text output, and then you save that, and that's your level. So that's pretty darn cool. Yeah, I think this might be the stream. Is there anything small here? Perfectamundo in Genève. So I'm just gonna do this, driving my Mercedes. Yeah. Just to reset that fatigue meter there. And I think I answered most of the questions. So yeah. That was a really long answer to what sort of job do you have right now? multiple jobs, but no career per se. If I make 1,000 times as much from YouTube ad revenue as I'm currently making, I can live on that. 1,000 times as much. So if each of you watching tells like 300 or 400 of your friends, and they all watch all the time, that would be great. Actually, a few weeks ago, I had a third job. My sister interviewed for a teaching position at a science summer camp sort of thing, and they were so pleased with her interview that they offered her a job as site director. And whoa, they didn't actually have enough people. They had a heat wave and no air conditioning, so people are having to do things in 100-degree weather. Teachers were quitting because it was like, it's too hot, I'm gonna die. We live in a desert. So my sister would either have to pick up all those shifts herself and be left with no spare time, or I could do some with no orientation and no training, except for her basically saying, here's like the handbook and, you know, etc. There's gonna be this and that, figure it out. I'm like, okay. So for 2 weeks, I was a summer camp counselor. It was just, I had the afternoon shift, so after the science classes were done, I would just, like, watch the kids with, like, 1 or 2 other teachers and just make sure they played nicely and, you know, didn't kill each other, basically. So I've done that, too. There's a kind of call response thing that you can do with kids. Like you say, when I say this phrase, you say this response phrase. And the idea is that they say that, and then they're quiet, and they listen to you. My god, that stuff works. I didn't have to do it often, but I just, like, shout the call phrase, and they would all immediately drop what they were doing and turn and look at me and shout the what's it. And I'm like, wow, that's highly effective. Neat. Why were y'all shouting? You're not supposed to shout inside. You know, because they were not supposed to do that. One of the teachers said, you know, line up next to the sinks so I can give you all temporary tattoos. They love that stuff. And be quiet. I have to step away for like literally 30 seconds, 10 seconds, I don't know. Just like, whoa, whoa. As soon as she steps away, all the kids start screaming. Like screaming. Not like talking and being loud. Screaming. I don't know why. So I'm like, what in the blazes is this? And I go over there and I, you know, shout the thing at them. And, did I do that whole thing with lifted wheels? It doesn't matter. It does not actually matter. So, so I've done that too. So at one point I had, so during those 2 weeks I had that. And this newsletter was occurring, and I had some tutoring lessons, so I was like, I have 3 jobs this week, and it's not enough, because I get a few hours here, a few hours there, so, my truck is quite broken. I'm gonna go fix. Let's also look at my tires. Are they on the ground? Oh, so they are. Delightful. Sometimes I provide very long answers to questions, but I remember the original question. It surprises people sometimes. And I say, so anyway, I have a very large stack size. You can pile a whole bunch of things on the stack. And then I remember what was at the bottom. and I return it all to that function call. So there, and then people go, what? When were we talking about that? Oh, I guess we did. Feeks. 1,300 euros. I don't mind paying it because euros are fun to say. I am very tired. I think that might be the stream for today. A random stranger says 1,000 times aye. But I don't know where I'm going in particular. What do we got for this? Is there still little stuff over here? In 5 minutes, when that expires, I will want longer jobs. Is there anything reasonable around here? From Lyon. Not particularly. From Berlin, Aberdeen, Berlin, London. Nothing here. 56. To Newcastle, that's pretty far. It's not a fantastic rate. That's awful. Awful. Maybe I'll drive around. Hopefully find something else. I don't know. Or maybe I can buy... I'll get a garage and some trucks. Random Stranger says, underrated. Don't you think? Is what underrated? There's a bit of a delay in the stream, like 20 or 30 seconds. So I'll be talking about stuff, and then viewers do not see it until a short delay later, and then you can reply immediately, but I will have lost the context for what is underrated. From the amount of people watching, oh, someone else. Different Cyrillic characters that I apologize once again. Unfortunately, I cannot read. It says something with Cyrillic characters. Should be in Russian. I will look that up too. I highly recommend Google Translate. Saying, heya. Hello. Where's my, here we are. So if you could all tell, a few hundred of your closest friends to watch all my streams and archive videos, that would be great. Then I could live off YouTube income and be a YouTube star. Wouldn't that be great? When I wasn't laid off, and I wasn't fired, and I didn't quit. When I was not hired for an additional position at my my internship, my coworkers were like wondering about my housing situation, etc. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't. How do I get in this little lot over here? Is that a thing? I'll go around. Rajesh Kumar says, I know how to hack XP and money. I'm sure that is a thing, but if I had XP and money, I don't know what there would be left to do in this game. Like, I'm only here for the XP and money. So I do that, and I drive. Okay, there's one lot. Here's another lot. Looks like I've discovered it, but not explored it. Aha! There we go. Back onto the street we go. An hour and 40 minutes. I didn't intend it to be this long. I really didn't. I promise. Did I not explore that other lot either? Round we go. Round we go. Can't believe I didn't explore that. Like, come on. Or did I? I don't know. There we are. Throw it into reverse. Go back on the street. Ordinarily, it would not want you to do this. Rajesh Kumar says, using a cheat engine app. Sometimes I cheat in games, other times I don't. Sometimes in various ways, like in this game I turn off traffic with a console command or configuration file setting, and I turn off traffic violations, because I don't think they're implemented in a fun way. Like, the AI drivers don't see the trailer. So if they're at an intersection and you're crossing, and you go through and they wait for you to pass, and your trailer is in front of them, they think you are done passing, and they drive straight into your trailer. It's stupid. It's just wrong. So I don't think it's solid enough for me to use. So I just go, no thanks. That's okay. That's okay. Let's make a right. I don't really know where I'm driving. I think I'm just wanting to look around for jobs. 48 from Lyon to Genève. It's pretty short. Is there anything good here? 56 Genève to Newcastle, and in 6 hours. How about this one? So we'll go to Genève and then Genève to Newcastle. Sure. And let's go around here. I think I still have my wheels down. Yes, okay. 1 hour and 1 minute away for real? That's a little far, don't you think? I'm going double the speed limit. But as long as there are no overly sharp turns, I'll be fine. Rajesh Kumar says, I'm using V1.25. What version are you using? I have no idea. Whatever Steam tells me to use. Installed it a few months ago, and there's probably been a couple of updates or something. I do not know what version I'm using. I just don't know. I'm thinking of getting mods at some point. Ones I'd like to get are to show more available jobs, so I can get actually good ones instead of being like, wow, these are all 30 euros per kilometer. How terrible. And also actually instant quick travel. So if I see a cool job in London while I'm in Venice or Prague, I can be like, I will simply go there and take the awesome job and travel there instantly in my teleporter for the entire truck. Because otherwise, I just don't see the point of quick travel. Maybe if you want to explore a bunch of the map or unlock more recruitment centers, could be a thing, and you just don't want to free roam drive there. But honestly, it would be better to take some sort of delivery job and go there with a load and then get paid. Instead of just quick traveling. I don't know. Seems a little weird that it's not useful for going to jobs in time. I don't know. Rajesh Kumar asks how to get free activate code. I don't know. I bought this in a Humble Bundle. Oh, I'll have to tow a load up out of a quarry. That's great. That's great. I love doing that, but I have a good truck. This isn't what I wanted, is it? I wanted to go to somewhere else. Where is that? Did I go to the wrong place? Genève. Is it to Newcastle, a reasonable one? Wasn't there one to Genève? Where's that? Did it disappear? Maybe it disappeared. What else is there? Lame. 63 kilometers? It's not even... Anyway, I think that's a sign that this stream will have to continue another day. Random Stranger says, and where would be the sport in that? I don't know. I had Game Sharks for N64 and Dreamcast. Used it a lot for N64. Some games it was better, some games didn't do so much. Like for GoldenEye, infinite ammo, etc. In those situations, I think it's fine, because it allowed me to see more of the game. It's kind of important. In the days before you could go on YouTube and see the entire game be played. In the 90s. I've got gray hairs in my beard. It's legit. But for GoldenEye, for Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, the only real useful code I remember for that for Game Shark was unlimited missiles while in the ship. The actual cheat was the debug mode for that. Yeah. Mario, to start a level with 99 coins, so you could go and get one more coin, and then out would pop the star for 100 coins. My sister actually got all 120 stars in Mario 64 legit. Played the heck out of that game, including the annoying levels like the Rainbow Cloud What's It. Those were annoying. I didn't like those. Probably a bunch more that I don't remember right now. And Dreamcast as well. What Game Shark codes did I even use in Dreamcast? I don't even remember. I don't even remember the interface for the Game Shark Dreamcast edition. The Dreamcast Game Shark. I remember that it was a CD you put in with like a game pack in the controller. Beyond that, nothing. I remember the N64 one pretty well. I think I technically had a Game Shark for GameCube, but it was... The main reason I got it was because it included a USB cable for its special memory card, and you could back up your save states. And that's what I did. That was why I got that. But in this game, I don't really see the point of getting a whole bunch of XP and money like instantly. Kind of like Cookie Clicker. Instead of clicking the cookie a lot or just driving a lot, you can cheat in Cookie Clicker as well. You even get an achievement for it. Cheated cookie. Tastes terrible is the flavor text. But like, you can give yourself a bunch of cookies. I could give myself a bunch of XP and money. Don't see that it's be too great for this. I don't know. I'm really tired. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me in chat. Hopefully tomorrow more Python stuff. Maybe I'll add lateral movement to Tetris pieces. I have to think about how to add a snap down, like instead of just pressing the down key and it moves down by one block, something to move it all the way to the bottom. Whether I'll want to just move it down a whole bunch, like until it has to settle, or if I want to have an actual thing that checks where everything is and then just moves it down in one shot. I don't know. So thank you again, and thanks for watching the stream. I will see you next time, and have a good one.